Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of BURG Sound. Now, I think it's time for me to do a proper walkthrough of Studio oLLiLaboratories. This because this is one of the most common questions that I have on my channel, is how is stuff connected in the studio, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight. We're going to talk about audio path. We're going to talk about, well, what gear I have and how sync is connected and so on. And yeah, that's basically it. So let's get started. So in this video, I will first talk about the stuff that I have on the right-hand side in my studio. The Modular, the Avalon, Elektron Analog 4, digitakt, volcas and zero coast and TR-8s and whatnot. This is, where I build the beats, where I build bass lines, and all those things. And the general idea is try to split this into two videos to make them a little bit shorter and to not bore you guys. So I'm going to start on this end and yeah, let's dive into the gear. So the main heart of my system, which is basically the master MIDI clock, is the digitakt from Elektron. Now I'm sending MIDI signal out from the digitakt through a Canton through 5 box that I have here. And the Avalon gets clock, the TR-8 gets a clock, the Analog 4 gets a clock, and also the BeatStep Pro on the right hand side also gets a clock. The first volca bass also gets a clock over MIDI, but after that I'm sending the volca sync signal to the other three devices, the FM, the secondary volca bass and the volca keys. The reason why I'm doing this is that I can, when I start the track, the first volca will just start as usual, right? But then I can push these guys in whenever needed. And also by doing so I can actually push them in mid-beat, so it actually creates sort of not a polyrhythmic pattern, but instead of starting on 1, it starts on 5 or 6 or whatever I basically want to push it in, right? And that gives me some added flexibility when working with polyrhythmic patterns, and by pushing in the secondary melodies at different times I can create some extra characteristics and changes in the music. Now, normally when I work on this side of the studio, it's mainly beats and basses and rhythms and stuff like that. And the main box right now is the digitakt, obviously, but I also use the TR-8 for drum sounds. So just to give you an idea of how things is set up, I have just prepared a short little beat. So 303 volca bass and digitakt starts at the same time. But this guy can be punched in whenever I desire to do so. Like this. So already there, it's pretty simple to create some nice polyrhythmic patterns by pushing these two volcas in at a different time other than the first note of the beat. Now continuing on to this, obviously the Elektron Analog 4 is a central part in how I'm doing stuff as well. The Elektron Analog 4 not only serves as its own synth, but it also controls the zero coast or the CV. So that's the only device on this part of the table that's being CV controlled. On the module I'm going to talk about that later. We also have a lot of stuff going on there. So the zero coast has its own CV channel in the Elektron, right? So it allows me to have the 4 internal channels and also the CV channel for the zero coast. Also, one of the good things are that when I'm using the no coast or a zero coast with the analog 4, since I'm utilizing the input channels for the zero coast, I can actually program effect sends and punch ins, punch outs, and stuff like that, and panning or whatever I want to do, right, for the zero coast as well. So that gives some extra flexibility to how I'm using that in the tracks. It's not only the zero coast that's connected to the elektron analog 4, it's also the Avalon. So the Avalon gets a secondary channel with reverb and delay and panning and punch in and out and whatnots to add that extra creative feeling to it. So this is the zero coast. Gets its delay and reverb. Nice, huh? What's nice about this is that when I'm controlling the effects channel, I can also do automation separately on both the zero coast and on the Avalon. I can do polyrhythmic patterns, I can punch in and out the effects, and I can use the conditional triggers in the elektron for the effects for these two devices as well. So that adds some extra textures and complexity to the music. All right. Furthermore, I think we covered the syncing part of things. Let's talk about the audio chain. Now, the digitakt has its own stereo channel into the mixer. So does the analog 4, and so does the TR-8. Basically, what I have here is 1, 2, 3 pairs of stereo channels going into the mixer. So that's 6 channels in total. And all of the other devices are internally mixed within the boxes that I have here by using some mixers and stuff like that. So to start with, the volca bass, the secondary volca bass, and the volca keys are being sent through this Behringer MX400 mixer into the external input on the TR-8. And this is so I can add some side chaining effects and whatnot to these boxes, to add some extra dynamic elements to the music. Let me show you. Sidechain. Really useful to create that pumping type of feeling in the music. Okay, also, since I have the Avalon and the zero coast connected through the elektron analog 4, those two are being catered to the effects here, and these three are being connected through the mixer. The Volca FM has a little bit of a special setup. It's actually connected to the audio external in on the Avalon. So whatever I'm adding on top here will be basically using the same filter settings and envelopes and whatnots that I have set in the Avalon. So that also adds some extra possibilities of textures and beats and whatnot. So let's have a listen to that and see what that sounds like. Turn on the sequencer. Right. And also, as you can see, I'm using the TR-8 to some extent. I have some percussions and whatnots, but the main kick is nowadays being, you know, programmed in the digitakt, because I have way more, you know, versatility and sound design capabilities in the elektron that I would ever have in TR-8. But I'm kind of, you know, fond of TR-8 and the way it works, because it's so instant with all the levers and, you know, knobs and whatnot. So I'm, you know, really reluctant on letting this one go, because it has the sidechain effects as well that I'm using quite extensively, and also, you know, some of the all sounds I would say are so instant. It's simple to tweak, you know, while you're working on the fly. I also have some effects on this side. I have two Zoom MS70 CDR pedals. One is for the secondary volca bass, the second one is for the volca keys, to add some delay, reverb and modulation. The volca bass, I like to use the ICE algorithm. This adds a really nice shimmer effect. And well, some proper modulation on the LFO as well to bring it in. Right. The volca keys, obviously, the particle reverb is one of my favorite algorithms. This together with the TR-8 and the sidechain effects creates a really nice effect. Also, on this side I have the KORG Chaos Pad KP3 Plus. I'm using this in a couple of different ways. Either I can just use a random effect, right, that I'm sending through the boxes, but like a grain delay or like an LFO or like a filter or something like that. And I have all of the synths in my studio on aux send through this device. So I can control which synths that are being affected by the Chaos Pad. And this gives me some additional possibilities of adding delay effects and whatnots to the overall mix, right? Without actually messing things up too much by just adding a little bit from the auxiliary output of the mixer. So let's have a listen. Very subtle effect, and that is probably one of the things that you hear the most in my tracks using the chaos pad, and that gives a little bit extra magic touch to everything. Okay, so let's go on and look at the other stuff. So finally we have the modular on this side of the room. The digitakt sends a clock signal to the modular on the IntelliGel micro MIDI interface, and I also take the through signal from that interface into the BeatStep Pro. Now the reason why I'm doing this is pretty simple. So I can have an additional MIDI channel. I can use the digitakt to sequence a third track, because the BeatStep Pro only has two-part sequencer. It has 3 parts, 1 for drums and 2 for sequences, and a third sequence part could be made possible by using the digitakt as well. The micro MIDI interface also has a clock divider built in, right? So I can set that to 16 step notes, 8 step notes, 4 step note, whatever, so I can utilize that within the rack, totally independent from what the BeatStep Pro sends out. So that's also a good thing. Normally I can have like 4 sounds, and the BeatStep Pro can control obviously 2 sequences and also 1 drum sequence. A little bit depending on the patch, obviously things will sound a little bit different. So, but just to give you an idea what's going on in the modular today for this particular track that I've just set up for the demo, is that I have a drum sequence on the Basilemus Iteritas Alter module from Noise Engineering. Belly sound using the braids, the ripples filter, and the octone from Qubit Electronics is controlling the rings. So 2 sequences if I want to in the BeatStep Pro, 1 drum sequence. The second sequencer obviously in the octone, right, that I'm controlling with the clock from the micro MIDI. And also if I would like to, a third sequencer channel from the digitakt as well. And the audio signal is pretty straightforward. I have 2 signals out from the rack today. One part that goes through the caverns, delay and reverb. Second one that goes through the space echo transmitter and the space spiral from Earthquaker devices. So I have a quite big palette of effects that I can add to the sounds, right? And by doing so I can also, if I want to, send sounds back into the rack if needed, because I have an input as well that I can utilize, but that's currently not in use, right? And that gives me some really nice possibilities with the modular. And right now these 2 channels are in mono going out, so I'm trying to spread them a little bit left and right to give a nice spaciousness in the actual mix at the end. Okay, good. So, I mean, putting all of that stuff together with the other drums. Alright, I think that's it, guys. I think I've covered the majority of the stuff that's going on this side of the studio with all the beatboxes and whatnot. However, if you think I missed something, just post a question in the comment section below and I'll try to answer it for you. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and if you have a possibility, please consider to support me over Patreon. It would be really awesome, so I can make more of these videos and also some music going forward. And yeah, maybe a little jam. Alright?